Hi, good morning. Earlier this year, I left my investment banking career to pursue to be a tech entrepreneur. It's a very popular thing to do nowadays, so much so that New York Post has an article about people like us. There's a new class of Wall Street bankers, they say. Instead of the college dropout, they call us the finance dropout. A lot of my friends ask me about my career switch. They ask me, why did you do it? Why did you leave such a well-paying job to do something so risky? And you're a banker. How did you learn how to code? I ask myself the same questions too. And I read a lot of articles online on pursuing your dreams, living your life to the fullest. But they didn't really, what really allowed me to, gave me the confidence to make the switch was something more simple. It was a change in my mindset. And that's what I want to talk about today. Have you ever played one of these connect the dot puzzles growing up, where you connect dots sequentially and you end up with a pretty picture of something? See, my life was similar to this growing up, where I had a bunch of dots ahead of me, and all I had to do was connect them. Take, for instance, in Hong Kong, when let's say your child is born, you'll probably be like one of these parents in this picture, lining outside a kindergarten, helping your child connect his first dot, helping him get into kindergarten. And after kindergarten, your kindergarten kind of determines your primary school, your secondary school, your high school, and then your university. Likewise, out of university, I was a banker. So banking is also in kind of like in a stepwise manner. You start off as an analyst, and then after 2 years, you can go into private equity or hedge funds, or you could stay on, be an associate, a vice president, a director, a managing director, or what Hollywood calls a wolf on Wall Street. Ask any software engineer what this looks like, and he'll tell you, this is a tree. A tree is a type of data structure, and engineers use data structures to make systems efficient, to organize the world in such a way that things can run efficiently. And the tree is good for filtering and putting things into little boxes and categorizing stuff, just like life is structured in such a way that categorizes us and puts us into little boxes representing what we're meant to be good at doing. And as we go on in our lives, these boxes that represent our specialization, our occupation, become more and more narrow, to the point that we might think, hey, this is the only thing that I'm good at doing. That's why, from society's perspective, bankers can be coders, teachers can be chefs. Now, this sort of structure in life works well for a lot of people because it gives you visibility about your life. It gives you visibility about how your career is going to advance. But it doesn't work. It didn't really work for me because the path that I was going on, I was unsure about. I couldn't see myself 10 years from now as a wolf on Wall Street. And no one's ever said that I look like Leonardo DiCaprio. So I had to find a different course of action. At the same time, a corporate job looks somewhat like this picture here, this is a picture of Hong Kong, where people are running along every day, things are busy, and you take a very short-sighted view on life. It's easy to drift along and just kind of, in a sense, wait for life to happen, which was what I was doing. And I realized that, and I immediately knew that I had to do something different about the way I saw the world. So I put aside this traditional mindset of mine, and I tried to look at the world in a different way. I tried to imagine a world where anything was possible so long as I created and connect my own path. And I call this a new mindset, but it's not new at all because a lot of people have a mindset like that. For instance, Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, says, Silicon Valley is a mindset, not a location. What he's saying is the innovation, the ability to create all these new products in Silicon Valley is the result of a mindset. Likewise, Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them going backwards. Again, he seems to be talking about a mindset that looks not like the one on the left where you can see the dots ahead of you, but kind of more like the one on the right. So awesome, I had a new mindset and I was ready to take on life. But without a strategy, probably nothing would have happened. So I needed a strategy. And I did the only thing I knew, which was I started experimenting while keeping my full-time job. I started thinking about what I like doing. Since young, I've always liked coding and I've liked math. I've also always wanted to start a business. So I thought about how could I combine all these things. And in December 2012, I bought a Mac and I started coding. Now, coding is something that people are really interested in nowadays. A lot of people want to learn to code. There are all these kids that make amazing apps. Frankly, all you need to code is Google and a computer. And that's how I started coding. I started Googling a bunch of stuff, and literally I looked up tutorials online and copy and pasted code. And in a few hours, I came up with a space shooter game, and literally by copying and pasting code. And then I thought it was pretty fun, and so I started doing it more and more. It was kind of like a hobby away from banking. So I'll spend my weekends coding, my evenings I'll be coding, and then in the mornings I would wake up early to write code. And then to the point that I was even coding on the trains, and then strangers would come up to me and strike up conversations. So long story short, after a few months, I shipped a game called Penguin Hustle, which was featured on Tech in Asia. It's one of those multiplayer Tetris games where you kind of cast spells on your opponents and you try to fill up their screen with blocks. So this process of experimentation and learning how to code, I realized can be generalized to something more applicable to a lot of uncertain situations that we face in our lives, uncertain situations that startups might have. In fact, people have come up with a system to create a path when there's no path. And this system is known as the lean methodology. It consists of 3 steps: build, measure, and learn. The idea is that you have a grand vision, you build something, a small step towards that vision, and then you see how people respond to it, you see how you respond to it, and then you learn from it. And the theory is that if you can repeat these steps repeatedly and rapidly, you will be able to create your own path eventually. It doesn't work all the time, but it greatly increases the chances of success, and this is what a lot of startups are using. So back to my story, I eventually got good enough at coding that I kind of felt comfortable that I'll be able to do it as a career. At the same time, the opportunity came up for me to go to San Francisco to attend a coding bootcamp called Hack Reactor. And I thought, why not? I could learn the latest technologies and I could meet people. So it was a difficult decision then, but I decided to leave my corporate job and go to San Francisco. So in San Francisco, I met a bunch of people that I learned a lot of stuff. In particular, I met a serial entrepreneur, a professional gamer, and an advertising person. And these 3 people, they were all really interested in, they love coding, and they're very interested in Hong Kong. They wanted to come here, and they wanted to change the tech scene in Hong Kong. And before I knew it, everyone bought one-way tickets to Hong Kong. So we now run a firm called Altitude Labs, and we make digital ideas happen for people. We apply the same build, measure, learn sort of methodology to the businesses that we work with, as well as our own startup. And in a few months that we've been around, we've built we've built a Bitcoin exchange, which is now in private beta. We've built a travel photography platform for you to post pictures about amazing places that you should visit in your lifetime and share them with your friends. And we have also built a job marketplace for actors and actresses in Korea. I would never have known that buying a Mac and starting to learn how to code would have led me to this point. But without having tried, I don't think any of this would have happened. And so that brings me to my takeaway for this talk, which is don't wait for life to happen. If you're ever stuck at a point in your life where you feel that the dots ahead of you are not the ones you want to connect, experiment and see where it takes you. Or if you have a business idea and you want to try it out, don't be afraid to do that and see what happens, especially on the side. Because I believe that with a well-founded strategy, determination, and some luck, you just might be able to create and connect your own dots in life. Thank you.